You want to make £25 billion worth of savings for this year. How would you do it?
Yep, so we've laid out £25 billion worth of savings, which Rachel Reeves could enact immediately in her budget, which would fill the black hole that she has created for herself and negate the need for tax rises on people watching this programme. So, number one, we're talking about dramatically reducing the foreign aid budget for the time being until the state finances are restored. So that would be a hard cap of £1 billion per year. That would still ring-fence our commitments to Ukraine and to international organisations, keep our seat at the UN and the IMF. Number two, we would end welfare payments, specifically universal credit to foreign nationals, including EU nationals here in the UK. The two measures I've just spoken of, between them, would save £16 billion this year alone, and that compounds across time. Then we can also talk about the immigration health surcharge. So this is an amount of money, it's basically a fee, an annual fee that foreign nationals who are on certain types of visas pay to access the NHS. The Home Office, the government's own impact assessment on that a couple of years ago, it was the Tories who agreed to this. They stated very clearly that the per capita, i.e. the per person per year cost of the NHS is £2,700, and inexplicably, the Tory government at the time agreed to a 62% reduced rate for foreign nationals to be able to access it. So by implementing a charge for using the NHS in line with the actual cost of usage would raise another £5 billion. Then there's a couple of other measures, are reforms to PIP, for example, around low-level anxiety treatments, which we've already announced, and the deportation of foreign nationals in our jails. So that gets you to £25 billion by prioritising British citizens.
OK, so let's just pick...
Look, so he did that in about a minute, right? And he was totally honest about what he was going to do. The only black hole that actually Rachel Reeves is ever going to fill is a gob, hopefully by a gobstopper, right? It's not because Farage is dangerous. It's because he's putting a plan on the table that actually makes sense to normal people in places like Durham, in places like Devon, in places like Dumfries. And it exposes their black hole for the fiction that it is. This is politically motivated. This is deliberate. There are actual avenues for them to explore that don't include attacking our farmers, that don't include attacking our pensioners. Rachel Reeves is warming her hands up, right, like a typical socialist in power, to pick your pocket in the budget. She tells her that there's no more money. She tells her that we have to suffer. She tells her that we can't ever have it good again. Rubbish. Reform laid out exactly how to plug that 25 billion quid gap without taking a single extra penny from British workers. And the reason that the Liberal left is screaming into the void is because it involves a radical concept called putting the British people first. A novel idea, I know. It's enough to make them fall down backwards and up in the air go their vegan leather sandals. Here's the plan, right, that they don't want you to hear. The foreign aid madness alone, we're sending £10 billion abroad while our own services totally crumble. Have you tried getting an NHS appointment at the minute? I get emailed by so many of my residents saying, Darren, I've had to cancel my appointment and I cannot actually get seen because they cannot get parked. Things like that. Real issues. Issues that matter. We're increasing the population so fast. Have we really got the infrastructure for all these new arrivals? Well, no, we simply don't. We're talking about funding for a road. We saw the clips of a road in Guyana, and we're sending £100 million for family planning in Pakistan. I couldn't give a flying flamingo about Pakistan. How about we plan for our own families first? How about we help people who are struggling with kids? Cap it at £1 billion and save the rest. Genuine disasters, if people are dying in a tsunami or whatever else, fine. Cap it at £1 billion. Help those people out. But you save the rest and you spend it on us. The NHS isn't an international health service. Right now, the government charges migrants a discounted rate to use the NHS. Well, if I go to Mogishagu or whatever else, I imagine I wouldn't be given a discounted rate, would I, to use their healthcare system? The cost of that is £2,700 a head, but we let them pay peanuts. So why are you at home subsidising the healthcare of the rest of the world? I say, and Zia says, and Nigel says, charge the full rate, save 5 billion quid, end welfare tourism. Why are we paying 6 billion quid a year in universal credit to foreign nationals? We're spending similar amounts of billions to keep them in hotels. If you come here, you support yourself. If you come here illegally, you get the hell out. If you can't, you don't get a handout. It's as simple as that. We deport the foreign criminals. We're spending nearly 600 million quid housing foreign criminals in our prisons at His Majesty's pleasure. You remember Madapasa, the one that did I was going to do the guns thing, but I'll probably be banned from YouTube. But you know the one I mean. Madapasa, an Afghan fella who said he was going to come and kill Nigel Farage and he was banged up. Well, there are videos of him in prison. Where's he getting the smartphone from? They're gallivanting about in there like they're in some kind of liberal left detention centre for youths. Deport foreign criminals like that. Couldn't care less if he'll be oppressed in Afghanistan. That's not our problem. We are housing foreign criminals at your expense. Kick them out. The Spectator magazine actually called this all the politics of national preference. I call it basic common sense. This is the revival of common sense. That's why they hate Nigel. Zia nailed it in that 1 minute clip. It's treachery that Labour makes a conscious choice to tax you to fund welfare for people who aren't even citizens of our country. And there are actually far too many citizens of our country who have been given it willy-nilly, like it's buying a ticket on a bus. The mainstream media, they all scream nasty party, trade wars, all these other things. They try and weaponize Brexit. It's all noise. They're terrified because for the first time, someone is saying the quiet part out loud in Britain. We don't have a revenue problem. We've got a spending problem. We've got a prioritisation problem. We're spending it on the wrong people. Let Reeves try and explain, why don't the media ask her this? Why does a road in Guyana matter more to you, love, than a pothole in County Durham, right? I'd love to see her try. Explain that. And speaking of people who are absolutely terrified of the truth, let's turn to another one of Reform spokespeople. And she was up against the Green Party's leader. Now, if you want to know why the Liberal left hate reform, look no further than this clip. Not because of Nigel, it's because they cannot handle reality. This clip is of the absolutely brilliant Laila, and Laila is talking to, more like being shouted at, by the guy who's nuttier than a fruitcake, Zack Polanski. And he really is nuttier than a fruitcake. I say, actually, it's Zack Total Plonker, never mind Polanski, going on Newsnight and trying to gaslight the entire public by telling you that we don't have a problem. We don't have a problem. You tell that to my residents. You bloody well tell that to my residents. Have a watch of this one.
But there is absolutely no evidence that the people who are sexually assaulting people are people seeking asylum. And
I'm sorry, there is. There's convictions. There is convictions. We only prosecute 1% of illegal entry into this country. How can we be a democratic, sovereign country when we have decriminalised illegal entry into our country?
That's Laila Cunningham there. Right, and it goes through, in this video, it goes through after Zack Polanski saying there's no evidence, problems with migrants. Here we are, Epping Hotel asylum seeker jailed for sex assaults. The migrant avoids prison after 3 sexual assaults. Asylum seeker in court charged with sexual assault. Asylum seeker jailed for sex attack on women. 3 men to face trial over Brighton Beach rape. Asylum seeker jailed for raping 15-year-old girl. Failed asylum seeker charged with raping woman. Man illegally in UK jailed for Hyde Park rape. The illegal immigrant jailed for rape of girl. Newcastle grooming gang. I remember that one. The BBC had a lot to answer for in promoting these people, actually. Newcastle grooming gang jailed for raping a 13-year-old girl. Jordanian migrant sexually molested 4 women and girls travelling alone on the tube, including a 12-year-old. That's in our capital city. Rape charge against a man staying in an asylum hotel was kept secret to avoid stirring up community tensions, alongside, of course, the rape gangs. That's why that was all covered up. Mother of schoolgirl raped by a small boat migrant demands to know why he was allowed into Britain despite 11 previous convictions. Migrant hotel resident accused of sexually assaulting 3 women in as many weeks. And this is what he has the audacity to say.
There is absolutely no evidence that the people who are sexually assaulting people are people seeking asylum. And
I'm sorry, there is.
There is absolutely no evidence. He actually said that. You know, while headlines about convictions are literally being discussed, he looks you in the eye down the box of the Beeb and he says it's not happening. The BBC are probably going to clip that up for social media and present it as Zack saying the complete opposite. That's how they play things these days. Thank God for Laila. She didn't let him breathe. There are convictions. Simple, factual, devastating. That's what they hate. The truth. She points out that the real stat they want to hide, we only prosecute 1% of illegal entry. 1%. 1% of illegal entry. We've effectively decriminalised breaking into our country. If I break in to any other country around the globe, I waltz in, I throw me passport, they'll say, "Hi, you can sling your hook." This is why they hate us. They hate us because we are willing to have the difficult conversations that need to be said. We are the only ones pointing out that their precious multicultural utopia is a total lie. They have sacrificed our safety on the altar of their backwards ideology. And what have they left us with? It isn't a utopia. It's a dystopian, disunited, depressing hellscape. And they'd rather let it burn than admit that they were wrong. It's like the trans stuff. Did you see that interview with Ben Leo interviewing this so-called doctor that wants to give kids hormone treatments, pump them like they're some kind of cow being fattened for slaughter? They would rather let those children suffer than admit they've got it wrong. People in the Labour Party today. And folks, maybe I wonder if, for saying all of this, we soon might be criminalised for saying what Laila said on the BBC. Not for Islamophobia, because that word's gone, but for a cuddlier version of anti-Muslim hate. This is what's coming. So, Starmer was actually asked about this by one of his MPs, and this was his response. So, for context, the Islamophobia definition was meant to have been completely removed from the agenda, from the Labour Party's agenda. But it's back. It's just got a different name. See if you can hear the rebrand of this particular definition.